Dreamers Awake, Chapter 3. It was during her last class that Lydia met Tyler. English was never Lydia's best subject. It's not that she didn't enjoy literature, it's just that she'd rather spend her time learning about the real world instead of reading made-up stories. But when Tyler walked in, Lydia thought that maybe it would make coming to class worth it. He was tall, with dark hair and piercing green eyes. He took his seat in the third row and glanced at Lydia, stationed at the teacher's desk. The teacher, Mr. Wood, seemed a little frazzled, like many English teachers she'd had. His reddish hair was flecked with gray and thinning around the top, and he had crumbs in his mustache and beard left over from lunch. Right, Lydia, here is a copy of The Great Gatsby. We're already a good deal in, but it should be a quick catch-up. Feel free to use Cliff's Notes to catch up. He handed her a second, skinnier book with a bright yellow and black cover. Lydia sighed as she thought of all the reading she'd have to catch up on. As for seating, let's see, I have you... He paused, running his fingers over a worn and many times modified seating chart. In the back, sort of. Sorry about that. Fourth row behind Mr. Anderson there. Tyler, raise your hand, please. Tyler looked up from the book he had open on his desk and raised his hand a bit. Lydia smiled and made her way towards him. Thanks, she said, beaming at Tyler as she walked past. Tyler shrugged and went back to his book. Lydia sat down in her chair behind Tyler. She pulled out a notebook and pen, then settled in to stare at Tyler's back until the bell rang. Tyler closed the book he was reading, slipped it into his backpack, and pulled out another one. All right, everyone, please take out your copies of The Great Gatsby. We're on page 78. Ron, why don't you get us started with the third paragraph down, Mr. Wood said. Ron started reading, then Mr. Wood began asking the class about symbolism and metaphor and deeper meanings. Lydia sighed. This was so not her arena, but it seemed to be Tyler's. He listened and contributed a lot and even argued with some of Mr. Wood's assertions about the book. Mr. Wood loved it. It was clear that Tyler was a favorite of his as their discussion quickly took over the class. Lydia thought he was brilliant. He found meanings and symbolism she had never or would never have thought of. She had decided that she was going to talk to Tyler after class. After her decision, class seemed to fly by, and before she knew it, it was nearly time for the last bell. She watched the clock and began quietly putting her stuff away as she gathered her courage. Mr. Wood was so deeply into the next section of their reading, he hardly noticed the time. Even if English wasn't her favorite subject, Lydia could appreciate a teacher passionate about what they taught. The bell rang, and Mr. Wood jumped as if woken from a trance. Ah, yes, bell. Okay, everyone, tonight, read the next chapter and answer the study questions at the end. Have a nice evening. Mr. Wood gathered his notes and book and went to his desk as students filed out of the class. Lydia quickly dropped her book in her bag and watched Tyler for a second. He was putting his notebook, pen, and book in his bag, but he didn't seem to be in a hurry. Lydia stood up just ahead of Tyler and turned to his desk. Hi, I'm Lydia. You had some really cool things to say about The Great Gatsby. She smiled. Yeah, thanks. I'm Tyler. He stood up. Cool. Hey, so English isn't really my thing. I'm more of a math and science girl, and I'm a little behind, Lydia said. Oh, Tyler said. Not a very good conversationalist, Lydia thought. So, since you're so great with English, maybe we could get together and you could help me out, Lydia said. The slightest smile edged at the corners of Tyler's mouth. Yeah, sure, maybe. I don't know, Tyler said noncommittally. Lydia suddenly felt ridiculous, but tried to push the feeling aside. Yeah, maybe in the library, like tomorrow or the next day, Lydia asked. Tyler paused, clearly intrigued, but also anxious to leave the rapidly emptying classroom. Yeah, okay, tomorrow after class then, Tyler said. Great, I'll run it by my aunt and let you know, Lydia said. Okay, well, see you tomorrow. Tyler gestured toward the space Lydia was blocking. Oh, yeah, great. Lydia quickly moved out of the way. Tyler left and Lydia heaved a huge sigh. She suddenly realized she was the last one in the classroom. "Have a great day, Lydia. Welcome to Roosevelt High," Mr. Wood said, smiling. "Thanks." Lydia blushed and hurried from the room. Wendy was waiting at the end of the hall, shifting from one foot to the other. She caught sight of Lydia and waved frantically. "Hurry!" she shouted. Lydia broke into a jog, and Wendy joined once she reached her. "What's the hurry?" Lydia asked. "The bus leaves pretty quick after the bell," Wendy puffed. "We have to hurry or we might miss it." They picked up a little speed and joined the end of the bus line. They filed on and found Shamir and Michelle holding 2 seats. Lydia plopped down next to Shamir, and Wendy took the one next to Michelle. "Whew, just made it." The bus doors closed, and then it lurched forward, carrying the kids home. "Cutting it close, huh?" Shamir smiled. "Oh, I met a guy in English and was talking to him," Lydia said, smiling. "Cool. Is he gay too?" Michelle asked. "Oh my God, Michelle, James is literally 2 rows away," Wendy hissed. Michelle rolled her eyes and waved her hand dismissively. "Who is he?" Shamir asked. "His name is Tyler Anderson. He's super smart in English. I asked if he wanted to tutor me." Lydia beamed. She was surprised that she'd already met someone she was interested in and was proud of herself for making a move. "Oh, wow, that's great," Wendy sputtered. And he was like, I don't know, receptive or whatever? "Yeah, I mean, a little standoffish, but we just met," Lydia said. She tried to ignore the pained looks on their faces. What now, she wondered. Michelle's face had gone red. "That's good. Cool," Shamir said, a forced grin on her face. "God, what? What is it now? Does he have some terrible reputation? Is he actually totally creepy?" Lydia asked. "No, not at all. Only one problem. He's mine," Michelle spat. Lydia was shocked into silence. When she had talked to him, he hadn't mentioned a girlfriend, and to be fair, they were just studying together. Lydia was disappointed. He was so cute. "He's not like your property, Michelle," Wendy said quietly. "No, but it's a well-known fact that I've been trying to get him to go out with me for a year, so he's like off limits," Michelle said, crossing her arms over her chest. "Oh, okay, well, I didn't know that," Lydia said. "It's only my first day," she thought. "We're only going to study together, and that's if my aunt says it's okay." Lydia wasn't sure why she was trying to be nice to Michelle. She'd been nothing but bitchy to her since this morning. There was no relationship to salvage. Lydia wasn't even sure she wanted her as a friend, but she also didn't want to go making enemies either. "My aunt might not even let me stay after school, so it's not for sure." Lydia turned around and looked out the bus window. Today had been strange.